I used to wait until I felt motivated to work out, and that's why I kept restarting. This is day 13 of my fitness journey. I'm over 30, still a beginner, and I'm focusing on bodyweight training and walking. This is all in real time. Hi, I'm KG and welcome to another one. So today I will be talking about motivation versus discipline. It's something I'm currently discovering that there's a big difference between the two. When I first started my exercise journey, I had certain goals in mind. I wanted to walk 10k steps. I wanted to do my body weight exercises every day. I had this grand plan about the new year and how I was gonna just conquer everything. But what I didn't realize is that I was feeling very, very motivated at the time. And when you're feeling motivated, it feels like nothing can stop you. Like literally all these plans that you have for yourself, nothing can get in your way. Until the alarm clock rings and it's the next day and it's day one of you having to start walking. You promised yourself that you would probably wake up at 5:30 in the morning to go work. You promised yourself that you would do 3 sets of push-ups, 20 squats, and whatever it is that you did. But then now the day has come and you don't feel like doing it. Motivation is gone. Nothing seems to push you out of bed, and I was wondering, like, why is that happening to me? Because I had all these plans and I was very psyched. I was very psyched to do my workouts. I was very psyched to change my identity, to change my body, and that's when it came to mind that I'm probably just not disciplined enough. It's a big difference. We always think that we will be disciplined, we will do this, but when you're feeling very motivated, it does play with your mind a bit, where you think that you will do the things that you plan to do, but then discipline had other ideas. With me, I'm finding right now as I am starting anew with my fitness journey, especially since I'm over the age of 30, being a beginner, trying new things again, starting from scratch, is that while I am motivated to change my body, I do sometimes lack the discipline to see it through. So for instance, I will wake up and I will take a walk, and then I will get to my destination where I work out at a park. Once I get there, I start doing the push-ups, and 10 push-ups in, it's already, my body's already tired and I already want to go back home, forgetting that I had a plan that I was going to do 10 push-ups, I was going to do 20 squats, I was going to do pike push-ups and pull-ups, but because I'm feeling tired and I never expected the gravity of what I was doing to just hit me like that. And it's very fickle to think that motivation can take you that far, which is where we tend to lose ourselves a little bit. Now, what tends to happen also is that when that alarm clock rings in the morning, or maybe not in the morning, maybe whenever you said it was going to ring at that time, you tell yourself that maybe let me start again tomorrow. Now the motivation is gone because I don't know, maybe you had a rough day yesterday, maybe an obstacle came in your way, and basically what happens is that motivation starts disappearing once we start making excuses for ourselves, because we have this little bit of self-preservation where it's like you still want to sleep more, you still want to relax a bit more on the couch, and then you wonder why you are unable to see through your plans, and you are always having these restarts. Every month you're having a restart, every month is a day one. And I just always assumed that all I needed was just the motivation to do something and it will push me. And the thing about motivation is that it's very temporary. It depends on the conditions we're in while they suit us, you know. Sometimes you will wake up 1 week in a row going to the gym feeling good about yourself, and then all of a sudden you're not seeing results, you know. You're not seeing your weight go down, you're not seeing your abs, you're not seeing any yield in all the work you've been putting through. And now all of a sudden your motivation dwindles, and you now assume that now all your hard work was for nothing. And that's the thing about motivation, that's how fickle it is, you know. It disappears once you start feeling tired, once you start feeling like what you're doing is pointless. Now, then I started realizing that I need to be a bit more disciplined. I think discipline, what it has is that it's got a long-term effect. It's more you talking yourself out of the comfort you want, because we do negotiate with ourselves a lot. We do negotiate with ourselves saying, no, I'll do it tomorrow, or let me just have that extra thing to eat. You know, we love ourselves way too much. So what discipline does is that it helps you stay on track. It's those small mundane things that we think don't matter, like waking up consistently for 30 days even though you're not seeing any results. You know, just because you're not seeing any results doesn't mean that results or changes are not happening to you. And that's, sorry about that, my camera died. So as I was saying, with discipline is basically us keeping our promises to ourselves. You told yourself you were going to walk today. You don't negotiate that. You told yourself you were going to eat healthier. You don't negotiate that. You know, it's very important to keep our promises to ourselves. I think that will boost our confidence. It also shows that you're able to go through hard times. You know, what it will technically do for you is that not just on a fitness journey, but in any walk of life, you will know that when you set your mind to do something, you're able to do it. And I think that's the importance of practicing discipline every single day. It might be with small tasks, it might be with big ones. Obviously, when you're still not used to it, or when you're still depending on something like motivation, this is a practice that you would need to do every day. I know I lack a lot of self-discipline, especially when it comes to the food that I eat, and maybe when I go on social media scrolling for countless of hours doing nothing instead of things I'm supposed to be doing. And that is something I'm constantly working on every day, and I'm still trying to find systems that do work for me and things that will keep me focused on the tasks that I need to do. And the thing about discipline is that it is extremely boring. But if it's consistent, when you look at it over time, you look at the results that it gives you, you start seeing discipline for what it is, you know. And that's what I'm currently trying to achieve, even within 13 days of doing this. You know, day 1 to 5 was very easy for me. I was super motivated, New Year bounce, you know. And then one day I just woke up and I didn't feel like walking. I didn't feel like exercising, and the weather sort of agreed with me. I was just looking for some sort of excuse, and it looked very cloudy, and I just sat in. But you know, as the day progressed, it did not rain whatsoever. The sun even came out, and by then, you know, I started judging myself a little bit, and I felt really bad. I felt so bad about myself, blaming myself about things. And I think that's where we tend to overlook things like discipline, is that when we don't do the things we said we were going to do, we start losing trust in ourselves. We start admonishing ourselves. And what that will happen is that it might have a ripple effect on the next day of you doing what your plan is, So it is something I am currently working on, trying to keep promises to myself, trying to show up even when I don't feel like it, even when it's just very rough. Like yesterday, I was very proud because it was a very cloudy day that looked like it was gonna rain. I had all the excuses and all the reasons that to not go out and go take my walk, but I did it anyway. And the walk was not even that great. It was a terrible walk. My legs were very tired. I felt very lethargic. But as the day progressed, I was glad I did it. I was glad I exercised and I just pushed myself out of that rut. And I think what made me most proud is that I did show up even when I did not really want to do so. And I think that can be the same for you. So the hard truths of starting this whole exercise journey, especially when you're above 30, is that the recovery is very different. You go to train, your muscles hurt, and when you were younger they would hurt 2 or 3 days and you've already recovered, and now it takes up to a week, even longer, and that's almost a perfect excuse to not carry on your training, because you start and stop, just relying on that motivation. But what it's teaching me is that I do have to swallow my pride. The ego has to go. I do have to go back to being an actual learner, a beginner, learn how to regulate my body, learn how to do exercises properly, because that's another thing. We want to keep up with the young people who are doing these things so effortlessly that we don't even look at the form we take. We don't even look at the right way. We don't even want to do research anymore because it's a little bit embarrassing. And I am swallowing a hard pill right now where I'm just letting the pride go, because I want this journey to be meaningful. I want to look back a year from now and say I'm glad I stayed on a consistent path without any ego that kept in my way, And the difficult thing is that, in your 30s you can afford things. You think money can buy your way out of a lot of stuff. We pay for gym memberships with that mindset, thinking, yeah, I'll go to the gym. If I pay for it, I'll go for it. We can buy any food we want. So we end up buying all the bad foods that are convenient for us and taking us away from the fitness journey that we need, and that's where you really need to practice that discipline, especially with your finances, especially with your body, especially with your diet, and I'm learning these as we go. Another thing that I'm learning is that slow progress is still progress. Walking 5K steps or even walking for 10 minutes is better than not walking whatsoever. You are doing something, and this is something I constantly have to remind myself, especially when I don't feel like doing something. It's easier to negotiate saying, let me just show up for 5 minutes. What it does for you is that it shows you that even though you're not at your full capacity, you're still able to do what you promised yourself. So at this age, I'm not trying to prove anything. It's all about building something that I can keep, something that is mine, something that I can be proud of, to say that I wasn't afraid to start and I wasn't afraid to continue. And that's what it is. And my findings are that starting is very difficult. I know they will always hear advice saying all you need to do is start. I think for me, starting was the easy part. Continuing is where it's very difficult. The starting and then carrying on the journey, that is so difficult for me. But that's what's going to make this journey, I think, worthwhile. And that's why I have my journal right now. That's going to keep me honest, and hopefully you guys can also keep me honest. Another thing that I'm learning is that consistency does beat intensity. Sometimes we will want to go hard at the gym, go hard with your body, but you don't always have to do that. Just show up, even if you have to do easy, light training. It's better than just not showing up at all, because sometimes we focus so much on intensity and not looking at recovery, and that can have a very bad effect on us. That's true. Walking is very underrated, guys. I see a lot of people jogging, and if jogging is your thing, that's all good. I won't talk nothing about it. It's just that I feel like walking for me I've been able to be more consistent with walking because it's low effort and it doesn't take a toll on my body much, as opposed to running. Running has always gotten me tired. My legs are always hurting, and I end up just not doing it for months at a time. But I found consistency in walking, so try it out, And back on the topic of motivation and discipline is that, like I said, discipline does build your confidence. It shows you that you're able to show up. It basically proves and confirms your thoughts on whether you can do something or not. And that's why it's really important to practice discipline. Like, practice every day. You can practice with small tasks, small things that you promise that you're going to do. And that's how we start, That's how we start. If you're on a similar journey, subscribe and walk this out with me. I'm documenting everything, the wins, the misses, all of it. I hope to see you on the next one. Let me know if you are struggling with any discipline, if you are feeling motivated this year, and what it is that your journey is about. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.